We have to charge forward. We have to be able to take immediate, imperfect action. We can't try to wait till everything's perfect before we charge forward. We have to know how to expand, which means we have to keep growing. Sometimes people's success is what stopped them from being successful. Sometimes the degree made people think they didn't need to learn. Sometimes the compliment caused you to be constricted because you took that to mean you don't have to grow anymore. And it's a big mistake. And then the O is for overcome. There's always going to be obstacles. I've been through so much in business. I've made so many mistakes. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. I've grown teams up to 200 and had them in multiple states. I've had to lay off 80% of my workforce and lose my whole executive team and stand back up again and get to seven figures. So business is not for the faint of heart. You have to be willing to overcome things.
And welcome back to another episode of Creating Powerful Impact. I'm your host, Shay Wheat, founder of Grace and Ease Productions, where we support entrepreneurs just like you to profitably scale your business with events, allowing you to make sales faster with greater predictability and less team burnout. Today's guest, I'm super stoked. He literally lives like 20 minutes from me. And so I think that's why I love having opportunities like this is not only do I have like the ability to bring amazing people from all around the world, as well as like literally in my backyard, but he is somebody that is known as the CEO maker. He has built and scaled multiple seven-figure companies and currently manages 7 successful businesses. 7, y'all. All while defining and redefining what it means to be a CEO by showing leaders how to charge, expand, and overcome through the systems and the tools he has created with You Are a CEO methodology. Please help me welcome Michael E. Parker to the Creating Powerful Impact stage. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. I really am looking forward to this talk.
I'm excited, one, because it was just so great to know that you left literally the town that I'm in right
Yes.
before I moved in, and you're now down the road probably 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But what I'm even more excited about is tapping into your brilliance on how, like literally, how are you now known as the CEO maker?
Well, I think when you think about CEO, it's many levels to it. It's the the mindset you need to have, and then it's the approach to business, and then there's the approach to life.
Mhm.
When you think about first the approach to life, I often like to say that you are a CEO because you run the business of you. And when you understand that, then one thing I found in working with entrepreneurs is we can't separate the fact that we're not just an entrepreneur, we are also moms and dads and husbands and wives and brothers and sisters. We have health issues, stresses, we have challenges, we have insecurities, we deal with thoughts, and we deal with how we overcome negativity. And if you don't realize that you're a person first, business will eat you alive. You have to first have a grounding to make decisions every day as the CEO of yourself. And so that's the starting point. And then we have to understand that there's a mindset that helps someone, be a CEO in business. And I like to redefine CEO to mean charge, expand, and overcome. And to be quick, and we can go into this as much as you would like, but we have to charge forward. We have to be able to take immediate, imperfect action. We can't try to wait till everything's perfect before we charge forward. We have to know how to expand, which means we have to keep growing. Sometimes people's success is what stopped them from being successful. Sometimes the degree made people think they didn't need to learn. Sometimes the compliment caused you to be constricted because you took that to mean you don't have to grow anymore. And it's a big mistake. And then The O is for overcome. There's always going to be obstacles. I've been through so much in business. I've made so many mistakes. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. I've grown teams up to 200 and had them in multiple states. I've had to lay off 80% of my workforce and lose my whole executive team and stand back up again and get to seven figures. So business is not for the faint of heart. You have to be willing to overcome things. And you got to know your zero story as much as your hero story. And that's what I've learned. And then lastly is just the realizing the simple fact that there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being a CEO. An entrepreneur solves problems, but a CEO builds systems that run the company. And so when you understand the distinction, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who solved a problem and they call themselves a CEO. But a CEO realizes that they don't run the business at all. They put the systems in place that run the business. And that's the difference of the person who is at five figures or even six figures is learning how to use systems to scale to the seven and eight figure range, which is impossible to do without the right system. So there's five systems that I teach entrepreneurs, and that's really the key. It's clarity, capacity, commerce, control, and culture. And I call it the business freedom blueprint. So
Mm.
all of that together is what has made me become known as the CEO maker on many levels. And I really enjoy helping people become more of a CEO in their life and in their business.
That's brilliant. I love the distinction between the CEO and an entrepreneur. Like, I don't think I've ever really heard it that way before. So that was gold. And then tell me the five again.
So the five areas are clarity, and then capacity, and then commerce, and then control, and then culture. And each one of those have those are distinct systems that you must have in place if you want to really grow a seven figure business. It's the separating factors that I have found over my over 2 decades experience of building businesses. These are the five things that I determine if you have them in place and you know what to do, there's no business that can't go to that next level.
Do you mind going a little bit into detail of those five?
Oh, no problem. So the first one, and feel free to stop me or interject anytime because I can get going on these because
Just gonna geek
I
out on it. Yeah.
yeah. So but the first one is clarity. And it is so important, and I can't say this and stress this enough. We have to get ultra super clear on the problem we solve, who we're serving, and what is the distinct payoff or an outcome that people get from us through our business. And I know many times we think we've done this, but I can't tell you how often, Shay, that I work with entrepreneurs and even large Fortune 100 businesses that in a distinct area have lost sight of the problem they're really solving.
Yeah.
And you can literally be running your business, you could be providing services, you could be making six figures, but you've not dialed in the real problem you solve. So you can't communicate it clearly. So you don't get the market to turn to you like you really need them to for you to build that business to another level. And if your
Hmm.
problem was clearer, and if your payoff and outcome that you provide was more defined, you have such a greater opportunity to actually get people's attention and cause them to run towards you. And also, it's not just the clarity of attraction, it's also the clarity of being able to make sure you're choosing the right strategy that's best for your business. I can't tell you how many times I've seen businesses that have a big idea in a small market, though, right?
Mm.
And they're not clear on the best strategy to use because they don't see that that business is not really a business that is built to kind of grow. And this is what brings us to the next layer. This is where clarity moves into capacity. Capacity has to do with the actual capacity for your business to grow. It has to do with your business model. Your business strategy is, we have to use strategy to know where we're going, but we need capacity and business model to understand how we make money. So every business, when you take all the logos and the cliches and all the taglines away, it's about how the business makes money. And I often say this, Shay, that every true entrepreneur or CEO needs to learn how to speak two languages, and I call them Mathlish and Numbanese. And so this is this is a language that you need to know, because we must know the language of numbers. You have to know numbers. We have to know what difference between revenue and expense or costs. We have to know what gross profit is, which is how profitable our product and service is, versus net profit, which considers operating expense. And we have to know for your business model, what is the approach you're going to use financially that makes sure that this business has the capacity to even reach seven figures. You might be using a model and an approach that's just there's not enough there. The market's not big enough, the product margins aren't good enough. All these factors, or you don't have enough profit that you're making. So all these are factors that you have to consider. The other thing is, okay, go ahead. Do you want to
Sorry,
say
real
something?
quick.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have like an example of somebody that has come into you recently and is like, okay, I know my market, I know my blah blah blah, and you start looking at it and you're like, yeah, but did you realize that you won't be able to scale because this, and this is wrong? Do you have any like examples that kind of come to mind that we
Yeah.
can share?
Yeah. I have an entrepreneur that I, was working with that, um, a lot of the things that they've learned, even from me, they're, trying to implement those things, but I've seen them struggle because the industry that they're in is not used to the type of thing they're trying to provide. And so there is the market that you might say that I'm going after, but then there's within that market the people who are interested in your product or service. So it's like a market within the market. And
Hmm.
so what I had to talk to this person about is, yes, this market has good amount of people in it, but when you really look at within that market, how many people are interested in what you're saying, that market, it may not be sustainable to get to the type of numbers you want to get to. You'll get some numbers, but there may not be enough people in that market that's interested in what you're saying. That's the key, because
Hmm.
people have to see your solution as a problem that they have that brings a solution to the problem that they desire to solve. And if there's not enough of them there, there's not enough capacity in your whole approach to get where you're trying to go. So this was a recent example of just someone who didn't understand that there's a market within the market, and that is really who is interested in what you're saying.
Makes sense. Okay, please
Yeah,
continue.
so and then there's commerce, and commerce has to really do, I like to look at commerce as a river. We want a uninterrupted flowing river of cash flow coming into our business. And if you don't have cash flow coming into your business is going to die. The name of the game is not cash, it's cash flow. There's many times I've made, you know, in a day, you might make $500,000 or on a deal, or you might make, a six figure, right? Type of thing. I just recently did an offer and made multiple six figures in a day, right? I'm in a community of people who do seven figures in a day at times, and you know how to do offers a certain way. But the reality is, when you get chunks of money like that, that is not what sustains the business. And you'll find out really quickly as your business grows that cash just gets eaten up, almost seems like overnight, right? And if you're growing a business and you have a team, the people who are getting paid says, "I can't believe it. It's payroll. It's pay. I mean, it's payday." And if you're the business owner, you're saying, "I can't believe it. It's payday," right?
Right.
So it's a big, big, clear thing that cash flow has to be flowing. And so some systems that have to be really good is we have to have lead generation systems, a system for generating leads, and a system for converting those leads into sales. And the
Hmm.
difference is sometimes people have some leads and they have some sales, but they don't have a system for it. Something that can predictably keep bringing in leads, and something that predictably can convert those leads into sales. So this has a lot to do with your messaging, your strategies, the tools you're using, whether that's online or on earth, to really get people to convert and take advantage of your offer. And here's where offers come in, is having a really good offer that speaks to a very clear outcome. But you can have the greatest offer in the world, but if you don't have enough audience to actually sell that to, because you don't have a system to keep people in front of you, you can't create this commerce, this flow. And that is why this is one of the most, critical strategies in the business as well. Um,
Yeah, without a doubt. Like the way I see it is you're reverse engineering, right? So you're starting with your offer, as you said, and you have to have a really good offer and you have to like be meeting people where they're at and all of those things and knowing the pain. And then you're reverse engineering. And then it seems like it's a bunch of different layers, right? So then you're layering on top all of these pieces of the lead gen. Okay, well, we've been doing lead gen or we've been doing referrals, but now we need to have a system of lead gen, right? Is that what
right.
I'm hearing?
Absolutely. And, more than ever before, we're finding that people have to start being willing to give away some of their best stuff,
Yeah.
to generate leads. It's just so competitive now I often, have to educate entrepreneurs that today free still needs to be sold. So just because it's free, you think like, oh, everyone's going to give me their email. They look at their email now like spending money because they don't want to deal with all the traffic and their email and in their phone. So it's very guarded who you give your email to. So you still have to sell free. And when you master a system that is consistently giving you leads, that's the name of the game, because you can have a lot to say, but if you have no one to talk to, it's irrelevant. And so these are the things that become so important. So absolutely. So the next key area is control. And when I say control, I'm not saying being a controlling person. I'm talking about having systems in place that control the business.
Hmm.
My background, Shay, is I started out working for Toyota early in my career. And I happened to be there when Akio Toyoda, who's now the chairman of Toyota, was on assignment at the location that I came. I was in my early 20s, and everybody was talking about, Akio Toyota's coming, Akio's Toyota. I didn't know any difference. I come through a lot, coming through the inner city, came through a lot of struggle. That was not the greatest fear to me. Some person was coming to talk to them about this. I was just learning the ropes at Toyota, and they were saying, "Well, someone needs to give them the presentation." I said, well, "I'll do it. Like, I'll give the presentation." I say, "You will?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I didn't know enough to be afraid, right? So
Yeah.
I learned what was supposed to be said, and I remember when Akio Toyota came, and now I really started to get a little nervous. My heart was beating. I was wondering, because I'm wondering if else is concerned about this, maybe I should be too. So I started to give him a tour and walk through what was supposed to be presented. And at the time, Toyota was concerned that North America had got out of control. They weren't staying true to the principles that grew out of Japan, known as lean management, or the Toyota production system, which now is being implemented all over the world in every industry. But there was a time that it wasn't. It was, very, very secret to the automotive industry. And lean management is about how to hone in on value. What is the true value of the customer, and streamline everything in the business to be built around that value. And so I gave him the tour. And after this, the next week, I got called into a meeting with all these top executives in Toyota. I didn't know what was going on. And they said, I thought something, I was in trouble for something, or what was going on. They said, Akio Toyota just said, "Who is that young man? There's something different about him." He said, "I want him to be a part of a special project team to be sent to Japan immediately." And so, never been out of the country before, Shay. And next thing you know, I had a letter written in Japanese, and I was sent to Nagoya, Japan, and I was on my way to Toyota City, Japan. I got there with, by myself, handed the letter to the taxi driver. I didn't know what it said, and I just hoped he took me to the right place. I nodded at him, he nodded at me, and lo and behold, I ended up in Toyota City, Japan. And when I was there, I just kind of fell to my knees and thank God, because as a spiritual person and coming through some of the things that I come through, I couldn't believe I was in Japan, and my life was going to change. And I saw things there, Shay, that changed my life forever. I saw operational excellence at the highest level. I saw plants so clean you felt like you could eat food off the floor. I saw processes that were It almost looked like nobody was working. It was so calm. And so from there, I went on to be with them over the next 3 years and be trained firsthand by first generation lean experts, which later turned me into a lean expert. And this is what spearheaded my career as an entrepreneur to go into business. And I started to use lean to help me be successful in all of my businesses. And one of the fundamental things is learning how to systemize things so that it's repeatable, predictable, and it hones in on value, internal and external. So there's customers outside the business, but every process in your business is a customer to each other. And we have to learn how to set your business up in a way where every process that is dependent on the next process is doing only what is necessary and not adding waste. You know how many meetings we have that are unnecessary, how many emails that have too many words, how many agendas that everyone knows they're just waiting for this part of the agenda and the whole rest of the meeting is meaningless. How many times we have positions and approvals that are unnecessary, red tape, and entrepreneurs start trying to act like the bigger businesses and they end up bringing over the bad things from big business instead of being nimble and lean and fast and agile. So these are the things that you learn with control. It's in statistics, they call it statistical process control. And there's an upper control limit and a lower control limit. And you want to be within control. If they're outside of those limits, you say they're out of control. So that's what we really mean is they're getting outside of the standard. And I'll say this really quickly. I often tell entrepreneurs this, Shay, that they can't believe it. They'll say, I got a lot of problems. Can you help me? And I asked them, what's the standard for this? And what's the standard for that? And they say, I don't have a standard. I said, oh, you don't have a problem. And they'll look at me and they'll say, what do you mean? I said, you don't have a problem. I said, a problem is a deviation from a standard. If you don't have a standard, you're not even qualified to have a problem. What you have is chaos. Until you put a standard in place, you can't even have a problem. So we should be so blessed to have a problem because a problem means my standard is clear and I can see there's been a deviation from that standard that allows me to make it right, allows me to improve. So I often say not having a problem is a problem because it's the problem that allows me to improve. So this is what, don't get me talking about control. I get lost as you can see. So
I love that, like the actual meaning behind being out of control and why we say it that way and what it actually means was fascinating. Thank you.
oh no, you're welcome. You're welcome. And this brings me lastly to the last area, which is culture. And
Hmm.
I can't say enough about how many people just don't get this. This is probably the greatest secret sauce of it all. Is that when I say culture, I'm not talking about ethnicity and nationalities and people. I'm talking about an environment you create in your company that fosters growth in your people. And culture can be a secret weapon or a silent destroyer in your business. And people don't focus on culture oftentimes. So culture just happens. And the way I have found there's three ways that culture is created. It's created by what you do consistently. So you could say, well, we all believe this, but what consistently happens in your business? That's your real culture. It's also created by what you condone. If you approve or allow something to go on, you're allowing those seeds to be planted in the soil of your business, and that is becoming culture because it keeps happening. You're allowing it. You're not addressing it. And then lastly is what we celebrate.
Mm.
So consistent, condone, celebrate. What you celebrate. And I'll tell you a great example. I was doing consulting for this business, Shay, and I was dealing with these workers that had the same job. And I'll just, for sake of not to incriminate anyone, I'm going to call somebody Bob. And Bob was there working till midnight, had paper all over his desk, paper on the floor. And Susan, she was leaving work at 6 o'clock. Desk was organized. She was very efficient in her work. But the next day, when the supervisor and the managers came in, they praised Bob for being there till 12 in the morning and that he was a hard worker and dedicated. The reality was Bob was a complete mess. He was not working efficiently. He was a procrastinator. He was distracted. He was even sometimes lazy. Susan was doing the job the right way. But because they celebrated the wrong behavior, it causes people to believe that I would need to stay at work late and work inefficiently and have paper all over my desk to get attention around here. So
Hmm.
you start to reward the wrong behavior, which creates a culture that you didn't intend. And so this is again, we have to be conscious that your business is like a garden, and everything that comes out of your mouth, out of your thoughts, out of your example to your team is a seed. And every day that you address it or don't address it is watered and it begins to grow. And the next thing you know, you're wondering what happened to my business? Why do people act this way? Or why do people do this or that? And people like to look at the people instead of looking at the seeds they may have planted or allowed to be planted. And this is
Yeah.
why culture is so important.
I wholeheartily agree. And I think to take it like another step or another level is what is the culture of your clientele? A lot
Yes.
of our clients have high ticket offers and they are creating communities, and yet they're not looking at the culture of the community that they're building, and they're
Yes.
wondering why they have so much churn because one, they don't have systems, they don't have processes, they don't have the things in place to actually create this fly, what we call part of our flywheel, retention
Yeah.
flywheel, to support actually engaging and being seen and heard and all of those things.
Yeah.
And what they focus on, they're like, okay, I'm just worried about bringing in the leads. They don't
Right.
actually focus on the culture and the community. When they do, they don't have to worry about bringing in as many leads anymore because
Right.
the culture itself and the community itself continues to grow.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, Shay, culture is one of the strongest things in the world. Look at how long culture has lasted of different people groups and different even traditions we do, even if they're not even based on truth, but it's just what we've always done. We'll do that in America. And one of the things that when you think about the sustaining power of culture, that's what you want in your customer base. When you sell a premium product, if you move to the highest rank of having continuity, where now not only did you sell this premium product, now I have continuity where they've become a member of my community. They're not a customer, they become a client. When you start to understand that, you want to build culture amongst your customers so that there's an environment in which they want to stay with you. And it bothers me, Shay, that there's so many people who focus so much on making the money, but not keeping the money, not sustaining the money by sustaining the relationship. And they do everything to figure out how to get more people to come to me so I can make the money, but they don't put the same energy into like investing into your customers, investing into their experience and investing into their success, making sure they actually get to the thing. I believe that you must be a premium person if you want to attract premium customers. You have to also invest in a premium way. And so, but in doing that, you learn sometimes what to do and what not to do. I've seen some people's premium offers that I took advantage of, and I can tell that once you buy the thing, they don't care. And
They're
you can
gone.
tell they're not
Yeah.
there, they're gone, there's no connection. They don't care if you got to the success they promised or not. It's like
Yeah.
I did my part and it's on to the next. And then you can tell those that have really thought through the journey of your success, not your purchase. That's the key. The journey of your success, not just your purchase. And this is why I agree there's got to be a culture that you emanate from your business that is causing people to want to stay with you, not just come to you.
Well, I think we could talk forever, and I would love to have you come back. For
Sure.
now, if somebody is like, Michael, you are just spot on. That's exactly what is going on in my business. I need to look at the 5 things going on right now. What is the best way that they can reach out to you, connect with you, hear more about what it is that you're doing? And do you happen to have a gift for our audience today?
Yes, absolutely. So definitely can follow me on Instagram and YouTube, probably the most. My Instagram handle is I am Michael Lee Parker, and my handle at URC is I'm sorry, at YouTube is you at URACEO, or you can look up Michael Lee Parker. And I deal with a lot of things there, from business to life to spiritual. I love the Bible. I love improving life, improving health. But I deal a lot with business and wealth building, and so there's a variety of stuff on my YouTube channel. But specific to some of my business solutions, I would like to give everyone a gift. And as you get connected to that, you'll get kind of connected to some of the things that I give and some of the things in my community. But there's something I created called the Millionaire Business Bundle. And what I did is I took these 5 things and I put together a comprehensive training with all kinds of bonuses and tools to really help someone get to understanding how to get to that 7-figure business all in one bundled opportunity. So I do events all the time, but sometimes, this is for the person who says, I don't want to wait for the next date. And if I'm available and all that, I want this right now and take it home with me and I can jump in and start to break this down. And there's also ways through that you can connect with me and my team if you want to, learn more. So that's something that's available and it's at millionairebusinessbundle.com. But before going in to learn about that, you may or may not want to, invest in that right now. It's up to the individual. But I got 2 free gifts as soon as you go there that you definitely want to take advantage of. It's absolutely free. One of them is I did an audiobook on the 7 secrets to building a strong business. And over my last 2 decades, I captured the 7 most critical things that helps you to build a strong 7-figure business. And there's some of the things you're going to be surprised to hear. And I would love for you to listen to this. The other thing is, I created a guide for the 10 mistakes that stops entrepreneurs from really becoming CEOs that can build a 7-figure business. And when you opt in on that page, you get both of those gifts. So whether or not you want to take advantage of the Millionaire Business Bundle or not, take those gifts and use them to your benefit. Listen to the audiobook in the car or while you're working out, or sit down and get serious with it, and definitely read the guide. They're very, very useful and helpful. And so those are some things I think would be a good start.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's super generous. I greatly appreciate it. So we will have links to all of those in the show notes. I'm curious. So obviously, I'm in the world of events. I love events. From your perspective, why do you utilize events in your business or businesses?
Well, I think the biggest reason that I use events is because of connection. There's not many things that can replace human connection. And what I found is in being able to get people to make important decisions that, you know, people make a big mistake, Shay, in not understanding the difference between selling and convincing. Convincing is to get someone to do something for your purposes, to buy something that they don't need for your purposes. And that's why some people have a bad connotation about sales. But selling is more persuading someone to buy something that they want for their purposes. And we should be giving real value to people and only giving it to the people that we know it really helps and that it really is going to benefit their life. So when you have an event, it allows you to actually connect with people, allows you to actually understand them, to feel their problems, feel their needs, see their expressions, feel the if you're connecting or not. And through that, it allows you to sell better as well as provide value to them better. And so this is why I feel like events is something that, I just can't get away from, because you got to connect with people. And especially if you want to sell them things that are of premium value, you got to give them premium value. And in every experience, sometimes what we do is almost like the bottled water, right? That you get at the convenience store versus the airport versus a high-end hotel. The water is the same, but the experience changed. And so when we take the things we know and place them in better experiences, we automatically raise the perceived value. And this is what events allows us to do.
Brilliant. Yes, I agree. Last question for you. What is a takeaway or a memorable note you'd like to leave our audience with?
A takeaway or a memorable note. Um, I think a takeaway and a memorable note I could leave everyone with is um, I really just can't say enough about belief. And there's nothing you will be able to do that you don't first believe. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is thinking that doubt is the absence of belief. But doubt is not the absence of belief. It's the belief that it won't work. It's the belief that it won't happen. So both doubt and faith are beliefs. One is a belief that it will work, it will happen. One's a belief that it won't work and it won't happen. One generates anxiety, one generates anticipation. So, whatever's in front of you for your next step to go to that next level, yes, there's a lot we can learn about business. There's so many tools and weapons of business war. But if you don't deal with the way you think and the focus that you put around the fact, which creates and generates a feeling of belief and an energy around certain things, we either believe we can go to that next level and we're going to act like we can by the actions we take next, or we really don't believe it. And so we're going to stay where we are and remain in our comfort zone. And I want to remind people that the greatest danger is you staying in a comfort zone. And remember, comfort zones recreate themselves at different levels. So don't what got you here won't get you there. So don't make the mistake of thinking because I make six figures, I know I'm out of my comfort zone. Where your comfort zone comes and repackages itself for who you are now. So you have to keep seeing what it looks like today and refusing to allow that to stop you from moving forward.
Well said. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And I want to thank our audience for also joining us on another episode of Creating Powerful Impact. I'm stoked for you to take all of these lessons and these resources that you've learned here, literally start implementing them and create even more impact in your world. Until next time, have an outstanding rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening to the Creating Powerful Impact podcast. If you are a successful coach, speaker, author, or thought leader who would like to be on this program, simply visit creatingpowerfulimpact.com/guest. If you are someone who got something out of this interview, would you please do me a favor and share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on your socials. Also, if you know somebody that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Creating Powerful Impact. I love seeing all of your posts and great guest selections. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up ratings and reviews go a long way to help promote the show, and they really mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more about us? Head on over to our website, graceandeaseproductions.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Just look for Grace and Ease Productions on your favorite platform. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.